Here are 10 things you should not take a loan to buy. The first thing is luxury clothes. Luxury clothes are so overhyped and so expensive that you would not imagine. A simple sneaker, sometimes even the same sneaker is manufactured by the same manufacturer, but now without a label, it becomes 90% cheaper than the one that is manufactured with this label. The quality is the same. Luxury clothes are too expensive. Do not take a loan to buy luxury clothes because it is no longer a need, it is just a desire. And sometimes it is a desire to impress people that do not really matter in your life. It is unfortunate when you have to take a loan to buy things to impress people who do not really matter in the course of your life. Do not take a loan to buy luxury clothes. Do not take a loan to go on a holiday. Yes, do not take a loan to go on a holiday. Pay your holiday at worst from your salary, an allocation from your salary. At best, from a certain percent, at average, from a certain percentage that you have been saving and saving and saving towards a holiday. At best, from your passive income sources. So you get a certain interest income from the savings that you have in that savings and credit organization, or an interest that you have gotten from your money market fund. Take that money and go on holiday with it. That is the best scenario you can be able to do. The worst case scenario is when you go on a holiday, enjoy yourself, show people the pictures, but it was actually a loan, and then struggle with cash flow and go and get back to the same friends that you have been showing on Facebook that you have been going on holiday to ask them for a loan. They will not give you any money because of your cash crunch. Do not take money to pay for a holiday. Enjoy the simple things in life that are actually cheap. Go for walks in public spaces and enjoy the cheaper things if you cannot be able to pay from your pocket, and at best from your passive income sources. Then the next thing that you should not be able to do is take a loan to buy a car, and in this case buying all the chunk of the money in a car. So if the car is worth $1 million, taking a loan of $1 million to buy a car worth $1 million, that is the worst thing you can possibly do. This is because once you take a loan, and a 100% loan on a car, you do not calculate some of the things that are going to incur in your life. The first thing is your lifestyle is going to change. If you are living in a place that was less secure, that did not have a parking that is inside the building, you will now be forced to move in a place where this car that you bought, that is still a loan, that is still paying you as you pay for it, you want to protect it as much so that again it is never stolen. So you end up making the decision to move somewhere. So the social pressure or the social expenses go up, the social expectations go up. So you have taken a loan, you are low on cash, and then people are seeing that you are driving this new fancy car and they're thinking that you have made it in life, but it is a loan. The social pressure starts coming in. You have taken 100% loan to buy a car. That is the worst possible mistake that can be able to do. Take 50% at least. At worst case scenario, take a loan 50% of the loan. If it's $1 million worth of a car, take 500 shillings as a loan and 500,000 shillings from your savings and investments that you have liquidated. That is the best possible scenario. This is because by the time these other expenses are catching up with you, at least you will have stopped paying the loan. And also, the amount that you're paying in installments is much lower. The amount of interest that you're going to pay is much lower. And it is unfortunate that you pay for something very expensively because it is again 100% loan. It's probably charged at more percentage loan because again car loans are much more riskier. Unlike a house which cannot just move and be damaged like that, a car is a liability because every time you are moving is a risk that it is going to break down. It is a risk that is going to get into an accident. It is a risk that is going to be a zero value write-off. And so loans for cars are actually priced a lot higher. So you take a big loan, you pay a lot of money and you pay a lot of interest, and then these assets, by the end of the time that you are paying for it, the value of that item has gone down by 75%. It is time you start thinking about these things. Again, when I tell you to take 50% from savings and 50% from loan, it again helps you to be able to be a little bit more practical when you're buying a car. You will not end up buying a big fancy car because again you're limited to the money that you have. And this makes you buy a car that you can reasonably be able to afford. It allows you to buy a car that you can reasonably be able to pay and your cash flow will not be very affected. As opposed to taking 100% loan on a car, much longer term, much more interest and much more installments that you are paying. But this allows you to take just enough bite that you can be able to chew. So do not take 100% loan on a car. The other thing that you should not do is take a loan for a phone. Do not take a loan for a phone. If you cannot pay it cash outright, then stop buying it. In fact, buy a small non-smartphone. A small phone. If that is what you can afford, buy that. Do not take a loan to buy a phone. The amount of technical obsolescence that goes in, within a year, that phone becomes old and obsolete because newer, fancier phones with a lot more memory, with a lot more features, with clearer screens, with much more features comes up. And if you took a loan to buy this phone, you are actually pegged onto this loan. It becomes you're always fearful. You're controlled by fear. Everywhere that you go, you're afraid of even taking out your phone because you're paying too much money for this phone. Don't take money in form of a loan to buy a phone. Worst mistakes that you can ever make. Pay cash. If you cannot pay cash, then don't get it. Or pay cash, whatever you can be able to afford in cash is what you can reasonably be able to financially finance. The other thing, and this is mostly for men, do not take a loan to buy the latest PlayStation 5. Do not take a loan to buy gaming equipment. Some people go to the extreme of even buying special screens, the 3D screens that surround you as you play. You are able to see every angle of every player in this game. Do not take a loan to buy gaming equipment. Again, these are stupid mistakes that people make that you should not be making. The other thing that you should not do is take a loan to buy crypto. Do not buy cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency in itself is risky enough. Now, taking a loan to be able to invest in crypto with the imagination of extraordinary returns is a foolish thing to do. This is because you will be putting pressure upon pressure. It is like digging a bigger hole to fill a smaller hole and then wonder, what do I do? Or taking a big loan to be able to pay something that might actually go down in value. Do not do that. At worst, take a loan to invest in something like real estate or something to do like stocks and shares. This is because at least there's some value that can be held, some value that can be attributable. Crypto has many risks. The value may not be certain. You cannot say the value will go up significantly or the value will go down significantly. No one can be able to predict reasonably well. Again, you may not be skilled enough. If you're taking loans, you're probably still learning about crypto. So you'll probably leave your coins in some brokerage, in some site, and the site is hacked and you lose your coins. Or you will do something people do, which is take their coins and invest them somewhere to be able to get some return. Again, we have seen so many websites that are falling apart and so many crypto companies that are falling apart and so many scams related to such kind of arrangements. Do not take a loan to put money where you're not even assured of a return. The other thing that you should not do is take a loan to put money on an untested business idea. You take money to invest even in your own business that you cannot be able to reasonably see the returns. You cannot be able to explain how the product end is. You cannot be able to explain the product life cycle. You cannot be able to explain the foreseeable returns. You cannot even define your market in this business. Do not take a loan to invest in such an idea. This will end in tears and a lot of interest that you pay without anything to be able to touch. The other thing that you should not do is buy fancy gadgets and tools. And I've seen some men have that problem. You buy fancy big gadgets. In fact, you are going to just repair some furniture in your house. Instead of buying a small saw that you can be able to cut for that day, because you're not a furniture maker, you're not a carpenter. So instead of buying the small saw that you can be able to cut and at least finish what you need to do, you buy the big cutting machine, the big fancy one that stands up and cuts and is like $1,000. For this one-day jobs that you may probably not do again. So stop investing in fancy equipments and gadgets to be able to do something that you probably do for one time, and you actually need something small for that. For women, it is buying fancy kitchenware, fancy. Have you ever gone to, and I think probably this is an African thing, where there are certain pots and pans that are so fancy that they are only used when the visitors are around. So you end up buying expensive china ware, you buy expensive pots, you buy expensive things, expensive silverware that you only use when because they're too expensive, you cannot use it for ordinary life. You only use it when the visitors come. A big financial mistake. Do not invest in anything that you only use for a time. The other thing is, do not invest a lot of money in school fees. Do not invest too much money and deny yourself of the amount of money that you'll be able to get towards securing a financial future for your family. I know you want to secure a future for your children, but this future is less certain when you take all the money that is left over after you have done everything to put in school fees. This is because if that job goes away, you cannot be able to pay it. Invest in some form of passive income that will be able to pay for this school fees, so that if your earned income goes away, you can get this income and pay for this school fees. The unfortunate thing, and it happens many times, is when somebody pays really fancy, expensive school fees, and then they get down into financial problems, and then they are not unable to maintain their child in this school, and they have to take their child not even in the next best school, but in the worst possible schools around their area, even sometimes even away from their area. So because you have not even invested probably in a house or in a home or in anything else, when you fall from grace because all your money has been going towards school fees, you move to a much terrible place to live in. You take your children to a much common people's school or not so fancy school, and the amount of shocks that your child gets from this fanciness of estate and school and everything to this downtrodden place, and some of them struggle to even recover. I know of somebody, they were able to they came from that place of grace to this place of grass, and the child could not be able to use toilets in this other school because they were not used to that level of dirt or that level of uncleanliness in this school. And the child will sometimes hold their piss and their poo the whole day, which is unhealthy, the whole day, so that they could be able to release or relieve themselves in the house where it is relatively cleaner. So do not put your family in such risk. Do not put your children in such risk by putting all your money and taking loans to even pay for these school fees. If you get to a point where you have to take a loan to be able to pay school fees, and you are not able to at least pay off that loan by the next time you need to take to pay school fees, the next tranche, then that is a school that you cannot afford. Please, let's be truthful with ourselves. Let us be truthful with ourselves. Let's stop building castles in the air that we cannot be able to maintain. Remember, the fancier the school, the higher the child goes, the higher the expenses. Is your income going to increase in the same rate? I've seen from one year to another year in a fancy school, the expenses going as high as 10%. So if your employer is paying you a certain amount of money, will they increase your salary by 10%? Assuming you are not promoted, assuming nothing significantly happens in your career, let us be truthful to ourselves. Another thing you should not do is take a loan to build a holiday home. Do not take a loan to build a holiday home or an up-country home. Build it in cash. You are building a house, or you're investing in a house that you're going to live for 2 weeks in a whole year. 2 weeks. You're paying money every single month. You're paying interest every single month for a house you're going to use for 2 weeks. In fact, your relatives in the countryside use your house more than you do. They host their other friends from the village in your house more than you do. Other people enjoy your house more than you do. So do not take a loan to buy a house that you're going to stay in for 2 weeks, a holiday house, an up-country home. These are 10 things you should not be investing in. I hope that you're learning, you're growing, and you become better in your financial affairs. Subscribe to the channel, leave a comment in the comment section, and like this video. Thank you and enjoy.